Hey, welcome to the 40 Finance channel, everybody. My name's Jeff Beers. Today we're going to talk a little bit about stock market rallies. It's hard to imagine those things over the past few months, but the reality is the pendulum always swings too far, and at some point we are going to have some sort of rally or rip. We don't know how high it will go, and we don't know how long it will last, but it's definitely important to think ahead and start planning for what you're going to do in these situations. So today I'll just kind of share my perspective on how I'm looking at things. Now, if you read a lot of market news like I do, you probably noticed a few of these headlines starting to pop up, right? In terms of rips coming and rallies coming. This is just one of a handful of them that I've read. It's likely the stock market will rally this summer, but don't expect the gains to hold. So that right there, whether or not this happens to be true, is really the crux of what you have to plan for. Obviously, each situation is going to have its own unique backdrop. So, for example, if we saw a rally on the Russian-Ukraine invasion, let's just say that came to a peaceful close, what does that mean, in your opinion, for the future of the stock market? Obviously, I think it's good news, right? But is that enough to stave off the fears of inflation, supply chain, what's going on in China? Those are the kind of scenarios to kind of pick your brain through. Here's a similar headline from Bank of America. S&P 3600 is the new bull case. Sell any rips or sell rips and watch for the yen for a crash warning. So this article is particularly negative as far as sentiment. Pessimism is pervasive across the equity market, and traders are telling B of A Securities that a further 8% drop in the S&P is a bullish scenario. Okay, so this is strategist Michael Hartnett. Equity flows are not at capitulation levels, and his stance is still sell any rips. So we're basically 2 for 2 on articles that suggest if you see the stock market bounce or rip higher, you should strongly consider selling because the long-term forecast, say over the next 12 months or so, is not very encouraging. And finally, one more example here from Jim Cramer. This was last Friday, May 20th. Jim Cramer warned investors on Friday that a market rally has no chance of sustaining until the causes of the turmoil are resolved. We need China to reopen, Russia to withdraw, and the Fed Reserve to stomp inflation with a 100 basis point rate hike. So this is right in line with the other two articles. It's just said in a different way, right? Basically saying that stock market has no reasonable chance of sustaining gains until these issues are resolved. Now, from my perspective, I really only have a couple stocks that, in my opinion, are worthy for consideration on selling the rips, if you will. The first one I talked about last video, TJX, which is TJ Maxx. Price right now is $60.84. I've got 100 shares. My cost basis is $48.08. Now with TJX, I've owned this stock for a couple years, so I can take profits at any time. It'll be long-term capital gains tax, so not as bad as regular income. And, even today at $60.84, I'm up 26.53%. I feel good about TJX, but let's face it, the retail stocks as a whole are getting crushed. Granted, those are full price retail, and it's actually a boom in some ways for TJX because if mall stores start depleting their inventory, selling out closeouts, etc., that's exactly their sweet spot. But I can tell you for me, very specifically, I'm targeting the $65 range. It'll probably come in at $64.75 and I won't sell it, and then it'll go down from there. But that's what I'm looking at for TJX, and I probably will sell it. And the main reason for selling TJX here is to just lock in a profit, albeit a small one, and put some cash into the account because I am a little cash dry right now. Talked about it before. Summertime has some additional family expenses from my point of view, so I don't have a ton of extra cash to be investing right now. So the sale of TJX could really help me build a small base, approximately $6,300. that I could keep and just keep buying the dips on some other things, I'd have to think about it. The next stock, though, Visa, is another candidate. This one, I would say I'd have to consider selling if it ripped up to around the $225 mark. And similar to TJX, I don't have a negative sentiment about Visa right now. So it makes it kind of a tough call if I were to lock in anything, simply because with travel reopening, it's a huge win for Visa. Cross-border transactions, all that stuff, business, travel, that is the most lucrative side of their business. So I do see, even in a down economy, I can see how Visa would still perform well. Okay, so that's really only two names in my portfolio that I would consider selling, at least right at this second. First of all, it's the only two names that are positive at this point in the year. And I just don't think that it makes a ton of sense to sell at a loss right now because the sentiment in the market is so low. However, if I do take gains from TJX or Visa, it opens up another interesting opportunity, right? Because I'll be positive in terms of my realized gains and losses. So as the year goes on, I'll have to think about some of the other laggards that may not come back for 2 or 3 years. Do I want to offset the realized gains with some of those losers? That'll just have to be a case-by-case scenario. I'm not super excited about doing that when the entire market's getting crushed right now. All right, guys, so that's a quick view on how I'm thinking about potentially selling the rips, selling the rally. I may be swayed to take some profits here, mostly because a lot of the other stuff that is negative in my account, there's a solid handful of names in there that I feel really good about, particularly at these current prices. It'll be interesting to see how I navigate that, but before we get too excited, let's hope for a market rip so I can get a maximum return on those two names we talked about. Quick call out, you saw some screenshots there from the Seeking Alpha platform. My affiliate link is in the description, gives you a significant discount on Seeking Alpha, as well as a free trial on their premium service. So make sure you check that out if you're interested. I hope everybody's doing well. We'll see you on the next video.